Happy holidays, everybody. I'm Naomi, the Brickanista, and welcome to the Brickanista Broadcast Network. And I'm here with Remy, who is there in Virginia. I'm in Seattle. And how are you doing?
I did not get the memo about the holiday clothing tonight. I'm wearing my outfit.
Wear this. I just got this elf hat. I have never seen an elf hat, and it just called to me. It says "must buy." You must buy me. So no, we have a memo already about the finale. So we will be dressed up for the finale, just like last year when Yano and I were doing the show, and we dressed up, even though we have nowhere to go. But you like this hat, right? This hat's cool.
No, it's cool. I just I
have so many Santa hats.
My outfit theme tonight is.
I've got one that says Happy Holidays. I have a plain one. I've got the Star Wars one. I've got an orange one that came from a client. And let's see, I have the one I'm going to wear for the finale has sequins.
Wow. That's so many.
Yeah, so many. Yeah, so many. This is the only time I get to wear them.
I gotta find something. The theme in my outfit tonight is it's cold in my apartment. So I'm wearing long sleeves.
There's something called a heater and a thermostat.
Not in every apartment,
Oh, you don't have a thermostat? Or even a heater?
I have a heater, yeah. But it's unreliable, and this is a big problem heading into winter.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be in Dallas pretty soon, right? Next month?
Yeah, that got pushed back to March. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because you're going to be, in close to the hood of our guests who are going to be joining us. So.
But it's fine. I love winter. I love the snow. I wish it would snow some more instead of we've just had fog all week, which is weird. So.
Right. Well, I wanted to just say that it's kind of strange that this is winding down because, we had all been prepped in June, getting ready for the launch of the show. And then that got postponed to September. And we did a fill-in by interviewing people from Lego Masters New Zealand. And that was awesome because that ended up giving us some credibility to Endemol Shine. So now Endemol Shine gives us the ability to get some cool photos, which we're going to share with you. And also access to some of our guests. So I'm super excited that today we have, and we've been trying to get them on the show because they're super busy. And I'm really glad that we can welcome the doctors. There's a doctor in the house. And right now, the doctor that's in the house right now, 5 cents, 10 cents, please, is Justin. How are you doing,
Hi, guys.
Justin?
Welcome. I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys? I'm glad I'm not in the hospital.
Yeah, I was going to say, all the work you do for all those kids, it's just so amazing. And the fact you carved out this little bit of time that you could entertain us for this show and also give back to the kids too, because I'm sure the kids were cheering you on as well.
Yeah, that's been one of the fun parts after watching this thing air is you walk into the room and some of the kids are like, I saw you last night. It's really fun. So, but yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh yeah. Well, it's really exciting because we met you in BrickCon when we were there in Seattle. And I just remember how everybody on the cast was very approachable and you really are a family and you're a wild bunch too. When it comes to after parties. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Definitely, we like to hang out for sure. And we definitely are a family 100%. So.
Yes, definitely. So I guess we're just going to start, just so you know the format of the show. We're just going to start a little bit asking you a couple questions about getting on the show, etc. And then we're going to go through your build specifically. And then we're going to go through the episode. So episode 11, the Start Your Engines episode. So I think I'll start. And I'm just kind of curious about, so we know from some of your interviews that you and Austin decided to join up, and I think it was your idea to begin with, right? That you saw the opportunity and then you asked Austin about it. So what was the spark when you thought about applying? What was the spark that said, you know what, I really, really want to do this?
Well, so I'm part of our local LUG, so the New Mexico Lego User Group, and a few years ago when they were first starting casting for the show, they approached the group and, asked us to submit some portfolios, that kind of deal. I thought it would be fun. But unfortunately, I couldn't do it the first 2 years because I couldn't get away from the hospital for as long as they needed us to be away to film. So this third time around, one of the casting producers called me again and he said, Justin, we're interested in doing it. And it was less time than the previous couple of years. And so I said, sure, let's do this. And then he said, is there anybody that, would be interested in doing it with you that you think would make a good teammate? And, he said, oh, significant other, or, your dad or your kids. And I don't have any kids, that kind of thing. My significant other, she was like, no chance, buddy. So, so I thought of Austin because him and I have been working together for now more than 5 years. And we work very well together and, we're friends. And I know that he built with his kids. And so just one day at work was like, so I have this opportunity. I'm wondering if you'd be interested in trying. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about, man? And
and speaking
and
of
just
which,
went from there.
Yeah.
Look who just joined the party. Welcome, Austin.
Welcome.
How are you doing, Austin?
You just quick.
And I know you don't have a whole lot of time with us, so we're going to ask you questions while you're with us. And also, here's a fun fact that might work for you too. That Justin and I, at the very beginning, before we went live, if you turn your phone landscape way, it might actually fill up the screen. So, oops.
Looks like
Or it might destroy everything.
Well, back to your story.
That was quick. That was quick. No, just so everybody else knows, Austin is in the hospital right now working. He was trying to get away for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I have to go do an admission really quick. It'll take a few minutes. I'll be back as ASAP.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for dropping in.
I promise I'll be back to talk. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And when you come back, try your phone landscape mode and see if that fills up the screen. Yes. Yes.
I can follow instructions.
Okay.
Hopefully
Awesome.
this kid is not too sick.
No. Okay. Well, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks a lot.
That was almost exactly the length of a guest spot on Lego Masters. The guest calls into the show, they say 5 hours left, and then they take off.
You're right.
That was great.
Yeah, I'm calling from outer space, and now I'm going to leave. Right?
Hey, that was really one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. It was like I'm so into space, and having somebody from the ISS call down was so cool. But
oh my gosh.
So anyway, I asked Austin at work, and he kind of was like, "Yeah, sure, let's give it a shot," because that's the kind of guy he is. And then it turned out after several rounds of interviews with casting, they liked us enough to see if we would want to be on the show. So kind of worked out. I've been a avid. I guess I wouldn't have used the term AFOL up until a couple of years ago, but I've been a Lego fan since I was a kid, and basically restarted building things again in medical school. And since then, I've just really taken off with mocks and joined the lug and really that kind of thing. And so when this opportunity presented itself, it was like, I think this could be a really, really fun experience. And it was really fun. So yeah.
Well,
that's a little bit about how we got on the show.
Yeah, we were so excited to see the two of you as doctors on the show. And you probably had the most comfortable attire to wear as well.
Oh, 100%. 100%. They're like pajamas. And we actually asked the casting folks, and they were like, we gotta figure out what we guys want you to wear. And we just kind of said, can we wear scrubs? And they were like, well, you would be cool with that? And we were like, 100%, absolutely. And it made our life so much easier. I felt so bad for everybody else that had to spend lots and lots of time getting ready for every episode and making sure everything was just right, because we'd walk in, put on our scrubs, have some coffee, read a book, wait around for everybody else to be ready. So it worked out well.
Yeah, some of the contestants actually bought a whole new wardrobe too. When we talked to John and Xavier particularly said he's got a lot of black in his closet, so he had to buy a whole new set of clothes, which he said he needed anyway. But that's the other thing, is you get to use existing scrubs that you knew fit you too, right? That's cool.
Definitely. And I think one thing that was kind of interesting was that Amy always talks about more color and lots of color, and that's actually part of what they wanted for us to be wearing on the show, was lots of color, like you said with Xavier. So So yeah,
Mhm.
scrubs were
Cool.
easy.
So Remy, did you have any questions too?
No, I'm just I was kind of wondering, as doctors, now that you have been on the show and are Lego masters, are you legally allowed to prescribe Lego now for any kind of ailment or anything like that?
I will say that when I go into a room and I have a kid that is able to, I'm typically bringing in some sets that we have from our child life area, or at least a box of bricks,
Mhm.
and so we'll definitely sort of. I mean, I'll introduce myself sometimes that way, or they'll notice my shoes. I have the Lego shoes sometimes. We have a Lego scrub hat that I'll wear all the time in the hospital. I'm a little surprised Dawson's not wearing his right now, because we do wear them all the time, and it's really a great way to sort of break that tension, because kids are in the hospital and they're not happy to be there. It's a scary
Yeah.
place. It's a new place. They're getting poked and prodded and IVs and whatnot. And so when you walk in and you see something that is very friendly to most kids, which is Lego, they kind of relax a little bit. And so I had a patient just a couple of days ago who was in the hospital for an infection of some kind, and I brought in the Lego, and she spent 6 hours on something during that day. And I went back and saw her, and she had done this incredible house and it had everything. And she was like, no, come here, come look at this, come look at that, And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, wait, why are you here? I have to treat your infection. Let me talk to your parents quickly. So it's been really fun. It's been, and one other thing that was a little bit surprising is that most of the dads are so so interested. They're like, oh my God, you're one of the guys. And like the kids are kind of like, oh, that's cool. And then they move on, and the dads are like, well, tell me about Will Arnett, or tell me about this, or it's kind of funny. So it really has made us, I think, pretty approachable with families, which is sometimes families are scared because their kids are in the hospital. So it's been a good experience, and overall been a very positive thing, I think, for us.
No, that's really awesome that you can enhance their lives a little bit more that way.
Yeah, I mean, if we could get insurance to pay for Lego, I would do that.
Yeah, that's the dream.
And prescribe it all the time.
It's a medical device now. You got to get it reclassified.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It might not make it through the FDA approval for choking hazard or something like that, or maybe stepping on it.
Yeah, three and above, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we are so excited because we wanted to go through some of your builds together, and I was just curious about, is there any particular build when you're reflecting back on the 9 episodes that you really wish you could have taken home with you?
I would say there's 2. I really, really enjoyed our lava camp build. I thought that build was so fun. And they obviously the producers are limited with how much time they have, because it's 40 minutes an episode essentially after commercials, and but there were so many little details that I really enjoyed about that build. I think Collins, the dog that we built to the model of, that was a really fun one. And then last but not least, I cannot forget Billy the Squid. Billy was such a fun build.
Yeah,
it was. That really? The color that we got to pick, that I mean, I've tried to start to build something similar with some of that color. I'm going to try and build a micro model, but yeah, Billy was a really fun one as well. So I think take any of those 3. So.
Yeah. And look who's here! Colin's mom is here.
Welcome.
Hey, Beth.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. In fact, something that you may or may not know, Justin, is that we've reached out to some of the dog owners to see if they'd be willing to come on the show to talk about their experience kind of behind the scenes. And really? Also some of them have done multiple shows that, Lego Masters is just one of several. So it's great that, thank you, Beth, for joining us too. So
that dog was so sweet.
Yeah. I've been following Colin's Instagram account now, and all of the dogs seemed like they were really pretty chill in general, most of them. I did hear Pippin had some issues. So, and I'm a corgi owner, so I was like, no, not Pippin.
Yeah. I would say that is very true. Some of those dogs were a little rowdier than some of the others. Collins is just a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wanted to be held the whole time, and so we did
Aw.
what we could to oblige. But we did have to build, so it was
Yeah.
sometimes hard to
That's true. It's like,
sometimes hard to
sorry,
put Collins
Collins.
down.
Put you
Yeah,
aside for a moment.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and start on the builds, because since you've been on for 9 episodes, I mean, that's just such an honor to have gone through all of those challenges.
Mhm.
It is
Well-
crazy to think that we made it through to 9 episodes. I'm
Yeah,
still
do we
like,
wanna,
shocked about that.
Do we want to start with the Halloween photo first and ask about that?
Oh, well, why
Uh-oh.
don't we wait until Austin
Okay.
comes back for
All
that
right,
one?
all right. Hang on.
So you
Okay.
gave out the spoiler.
Sorry.
I've
What?
I've dressed up in a lot of costumes, so I'm still very curious.
Okay. But
Oh,
yeah.
Emily's here. Hey, how's it going, Emily? Tap was
Yeah,
the
Tap,
best.
yeah.
Yes, Tappy
know,
the Tappy.
Speaking of dogs that wanted to be held all the time, Emily was able to build and hold the dog.
Right.
Did you see
exactly.
her excitement? I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yes. In fact, Emily got to meet my dog too. She
wow.
she and Dave were down here in Seattle at one of the local brick shops, and the owner was so awesome, Bricks and Wheels. He let me bring my dog Kesara in, and so yeah, we have a group shot with my dog too.
Oh.
And Tap was amazing, so cute. Yes, definitely.
Well, the dogs are the professionals, on the show. All the contestants are like amateur reality contestants. The dogs they're used to
In
8,
many
10-hour
cases.
days.
Super.Murph, in fact, he's got his own Instagram account, and he's been on a lot of things, and it's sad he passed this year. But yeah, you're
really
right.
sad. Murph is a great dog.
Yeah. All right, so here's your space station.
Let's talk about the first episode, the spaceship
man.
episode, Universal Healthcare. Great concept for a bag starship. But Justin, can you tell us kind of what was? They didn't show us the interior, so can you tell us like what was going on like inside the bag?
So when we heard about the challenge, it was supposed to represent ourselves and lots of aspects of ourselves, and so. First thing I'll say is I think it was a great idea in concept, and we really did not execute it very well. I'll be the first to admit that. But in the that chamber that you were just showing on the left, that's sort of like the interior area, the cockpit. We actually had a rock climbing wall in there because Austin likes to rock climb, and we had some weight, like a whole weight bench set up in there. There really just is not enough time for them to show all the details. The other side actually is sort of like I want to say like a storage room. And so the idea was that the back would open up, and that's how we would deliver like packages and goods and that kind of thing to different aspects of the universe. And so there were Band-Aids that were like kind of oversized in there. There was a couple of pill bottles actually that kind of looked like medicine. We had lots of different things to go with the doctor's theme. If you look at the landing gear, actually, those are reflex hammers. I don't think that actually made it onto the show at all.
Oh yeah,
either.
that's right. Yeah.
So we had reflex hammers on the bottom, and then if you look at the very top, the antenna is actually a tuning fork. You can barely see it, just the very tip of it. But so that was sort of our antenna, but that's a tuning fork that you use when you're testing hearing, right? And so we had lots of different aspects. Yeah, you can barely see it there
you
too.
Can't see it here either.
So it was one of those. We tried to incorporate lots of different elements of the doctor's bag. It didn't really get highlighted a whole lot on the show, and that's that's okay. They're limited, and we had a lot of teams at that point too. So
at the very beginning, some of them
I think
barely
overall
got any airtime.
Oh yeah, well, and this was tough because this episode you're getting used to where everything is in the brick pit. You're getting used to being on camera. You're getting used to producers kind of walking by and saying, "Hey, we need you to do this," or "Hey, we need you." I mean, it's all very, very new, and you're not to the point where you kind of just want to build and forget about everything else. You're still very like in shock and awe of like, this is an incredible studio, and this is actually that's Will Arnett. It's coming up to talk to me, and oh my gosh, that's Amy and Jamie. Like, you're still kind of starstruck, and so I like this concept a lot. One thing that I think would have helped a little bit is we had talked about building it in all white, because a white doctor's bag with a red cross I thought would have been very iconic. but they actually did not want us to use anything white or gray because it would blend in with the big spacecraft that we had on there. So there was some limiting factors that sort of influenced some of our choices, and that is what it is. But yeah, the one thing I don't think they also highlighted is we had programmed lights in the back, so where the little jet fuel kind of stuff is coming out of the back, the propulsion, those actually sparkled a lot as well. They were on a timer, and so that really wasn't seen either. And then of course the syringes that Jamie really loved on the side, I think were a highlight as well. So yeah, if I could redo the handle, I would 100% redo that handle. Amy hated that handle so much. So
yeah,
I thought that was our downfall when we were standing there at during the episode and going, oh no, I really messed this up here. But luckily we were able to move on because I think that we really got to show what we can do with some of these other builds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it was a really cool concept. So
I have my theory on what sort of quote saved us, and I think it is because it was very reflective of us and our personalities and who we are, and I think that we still effectively did that. So
yeah.
Well, you survived, right? That was the key.
That's all it's about.
And this is why we go through the builds too, is that we love these details that you're sharing with us, because we just don't get that behind the scenes kinds of discussions. And how was it attaching this to the main ship? Did you have any issues with that? Because several of the contestants had mentioned that because it was hovering and it was moving, that it was kind of hard to attach.
It was a little hard to attach. It was a little hard sometimes, depending on how the crafts were to like sort of lock it in, because there was a brick that you could put on to lock it on there, which was a little bit tough. You've noticed now I've cut my hair since the show. And so this was, I've had long hair for a couple, basically through the COVID pandemic. And so I didn't have long hair for a lot of it before that. And I actually, my hair actually bumped and like very microly damaged Eddie and Aziz's ship. And I felt horrible.
Oh, man.
But it was part of us trying to put it in like this. My hair in the back is hitting their ship, and they fixed it, and it was fine, and it didn't cause any problems. But it was a little bit difficult for all of us to get in there, around the same time. So, but it was tough.
Oh, that's brutal.
Now, I will say though, that thing that international spacecraft that they built was awesome. It was so cool to see live because it is enormous, and I have no idea how they suspended it so well. It was really cool. I don't know if there's a metal bar run through it or what, but
yeah, I think Brendan Griffith is the artist on that, and he has an Instagram account too. But he also did the cannonball. Why am I having a hard time speaking today?
The cannon. The cannon.
Yeah, the cannon. Yeah,
the cannon. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a long week for me today. So anyway, yes, I think that's great getting these details. All right.
So now moving on to the best titled build of episode 2, A Streetcar Named Disaster.
I'll give Austin credit for that one. He definitely was responsible for that name. So.
I really enjoyed that. And here's our fireball, which I also enjoyed.
This was really neat, having to incorporate essentially a pyrotechnics into the build. It was a little bit challenging because, like most real life objects, they're not sized perfectly to Lego dimensions, and so getting something in nice and snug was a little bit interesting. You had to plan that out well. But yeah, I think overall this was where Austin and I started to hit our stride and figure out, hey, we this is how we should do things. This is how we communicate with one another. And I think overall this one went pretty well. There's a few things in there that I really, really loved. I'm sure you guys know of the Octan brand. So I have a throwback on there with the colors of the red and the green on the logo. But we weren't allowed to actually have letters. Yes, that is 100% a throwback there. Let's see. Thinking back also to this build, one thing that I wanted to highlight, and you can see that nest, if you can zoom in on that nest a little bit. So, because we didn't really get to talk about this on the show, but if you look at the nest, there are pieces from basically all the other parts of the build that have been incorporated into the nest. So there's a bicycle frame up there. There is a fuel pump kind of up there. There's a fence that's in another part of the build. So the idea was that the pterodactyls were making their nest out of the other parts of the build, which I thought was a pretty cool thing.
That's very clever.
Yeah,
I wish
really
they
cool.
would have spent time on that. That's a really cool detail.
No, this is why we do the show. You know, I love getting into the real minute details of all the builds.
Yeah, you know,
did you guys
really? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. Just wondering. Like the firefighters had the Dalmatian in every build. Was there certain things that you guys had in every build?
Not in every single build. We did have there's a couple of throwbacks with like Billy the Squid, for instance, we had put in our pirate ship as well, or a reference to him, but not in every single build. No, I know that the Stevens were definitely very particular about that. I was gonna say one other thing that I liked a lot, because so Jamie did actually comment in our feedback officially of it just wasn't shown of the stuff in the nest, you know, the different articles in the nest. But if you zoom into the flying pterodactyl, that's kind of in the middle of the build, right next to that flame. I don't know, the one lower, just right in there. That guy right there.
Wow.
So that's suspended on Lego rope, essentially, you know, the ones with the one stud on each end.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit of a trick to get that suspended. But I had never used these before in a build, but do you see the neon chain that is kind of hanging off of there? That's a translucent neon yellow
orange?
Greenish.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's not quite. Yeah. So there was a few of those, and so I thought to use that as gasoline, sort of pouring out of the fuel line. And like one of my proudest moments was when Jamie goes, "I love that MPU, new parts uses. I never thought I would have seen that used like that." And it works very well because I had a pile of the chains that were sort of pouring out of both the gasoline tanker that is exploding in the front. There you can see it a little better there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of drains, cool. And then it's like there's like a puddle of them, and it kind of worked, I thought, pretty well. Austin, I think, did a great job with those trees, and we had lots of little dinosaur stories as well. I worked a lot on the building facades, which I think came out okay. I wish I would have oriented them a little bit differently, because from like straight on, which is how they sort of shot the explosion shot, you really didn't see how large they were, kind of thing. I mean, this is a very generous picture, but you know, I think I would have done that a little bit differently. But you know, overall, there was a lot of gas stations, and ours was, you know, I think we were definitely middle of the pack on this one. So, you know, it was really, really good to not be in the bottom two after that first week. That was very scary. So,
yeah.
Well, gas stations and electricity is what we came to the conclusion. And actually, we were at BrickCon doing this review that Friday while you guys were in the little breakout room having your cocktails and things.
So it was interesting, but this was a fun build, and
Now I'm curious.
It was a lot of
you
area to
mentioned
cover.
about the camera angle. Do they tell you when you start building which camera angle they're going to use, or do they do that like midway through and then you have to pivot, or you just don't know until the show comes on?
They told us there would be a camera angle, but they didn't really tell you sort of what kind of camera angle, right? Because if you have a camera that's directly in front, but it's very close to the front of the build, that's very different than if it's 10 feet away from the build, because you'll get a different depth and you'll get a wider or shorter angle. So I do believe they said that it would be from the front, and I wish that we would have been able to orient it a little more diagonally, but we weren't able to do that, and that's okay. It is what it is.
It's still a great build.
Yeah, still looks cool.
Thank you. I thought it came up pretty well.
Yeah. And now moving on to Billy the Squid, which was like one of my favorite builds of the season. I don't know. I've made some squids. This reminded me of Squidbillies. Was this a Squidbillies reference or no?
So it was not. It was more just we were thinking like what would be an absurd animal or creature to be at a rodeo or in a rodeo setting. And it's like, well, what about something aquatic? And then we were kind of thinking like, well, we have to have 4 appendages. Like maybe we'll get extra credit if we do, 10 appendages because that's how many appendages the squid has. And so we just kind of ran with it. I know that there some of the builders are really great at things like color theory and that sort of deal, and I love how this came out. And but Austin and I were not like thinking about color theory and that sort of thing at this time. We just were like, you know what, that blue is really, really cool. Let's use that blue, and then we just started running with it. Austin, I wish he was on here. Hopefully he'll be back soon, but him and I built this thing basically 3 times in that episode because we had problems.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
So the running theme for our team was get more than halfway through the build and then figure out something that we should have figured out at the beginning and then have to, change something significantly. So, the original leg attachments that we had they did highlight this on the show, but they're those ball joints, those larger mixel joint kind of ball joint kind of pieces. And we were worried that with the rotation of the bull that they were going to pop right off. And they also were very clear with the judging that they said that it's not, you have to have at least 2 appendages remaining. It is once you lose 2 appendages. That was another rule, that if you lost 2 appendages, then you're done. So, we're thinking, oh my God, why did we build 10? And so we definitely had to restart that. That was a little bit tough, but there's a lot of things in this build that were really cool. I think Austin did a wonderful job with that belt that we have there. Just around the base. He also sculpted that tiny little cowboy hat, which I think really does an excellent job of.
He's so good at hats.
Yeah, he's very good at hats, right?
Yes.
Is this a bolo tie around the neck here? Is that what this is?
It is a bolo tie. I don't think this made the show. Amy did not like my bolo tie too much. She thought it was too much. It was, she said this would have been a good example for editing, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I like the bolo tie, so you can't see it on there, but there is a nice belt buckle that Austin had done as well with tiles. One thing I really think that I did well was I think I made the eyes pretty menacing. I thought that was kind of cool because we didn't want him to be like a happy squid. We wanted him to be like, yeah, I'm gonna beat everybody at this bull ride, and be confident and little I don't want to say angry, but maybe a little bit angry, like he was fueled to win this thing. So.
Determined. Yes.
Determined's a very good thing. I think you can probably catch
the eyebrow
this.
Really helps. It definitely looks like it's gonna get.
Yeah, thank you.
And then it lasted. It tied for second place here in terms of outlasting all the other builds. So
yeah, and I thought it was so fun to see it all come off in one giant piece. Like it just came off all together, which a lot of the other builds did not necessarily do. So I was pretty stoked about that.
With having all those tentacles too, because when we spoke with Brendan and Greg, they said we're going to put more tentacles on because of that rule, that when two come off, that if they have more, then they'll be okay. And then we talked with the grandpappies, and they said, well, we're worried about the arms falling off, so they just took them off completely. so theirs didn't have one. Yeah, it was interesting.
True.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know if you can see them from here. Maybe if you go back to that last photo, there is a one spot you can see that we actually put little suckers underneath all of the tentacles.
Yeah.
I think you can see them with the front ones.
Wow.
And
the suckers are great. And where is it? Yeah, you can see, even like extending off the end of the tentacles here. Like you can tell that they go all the way down, right?
Yeah, they do, and we used a mixture of yellow and then translucent pink were underneath there as well. So I don't know. Overall, I think our colors really did come out cool, and it looked really fun on TV. I thought it was really really successful in that regard too. And we did last quite a long time. Everybody had their different theories on Technic or making it super light or whatever. And Austin and I basically went back to that bridge episode in season 1, where I believe it was Tyler and Amy just went with the clutch power of the brick. And that's kind of what we did here, was just thinking, look, let's just nail a ton of this stuff down. And I bet that if we make it heavy at the base, it'll stay pretty long. And I think that helped us a lot.
Yeah. Is it completely solid inside, you mean?
Pretty close. It's probably 6 studs thick all the way around. And then in the middle, I had a couple of Technic bars that were sort of like sealing it down a little bit. But for the most part, it was pretty solid. That thing was heavy. So
nice.
Yeah.
And you made Amy
overall,
proud
this
with
was
the color.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Overall, this was a really, really fun challenge. I thought this was like such a cool mixture of character building and engineering. I thought it was just great. So,
yeah, there are a lot of fun builds in this one. But yeah, so now let's talk about the treehouse. Yes, the treehouse, fiction and friction.
Yeah.
Oh, look
this
who's
was
back.
a really tough challenge.
I think Austin's back. So if you wanted to talk about Billy the Squid some more. Hey, Austin.
Hello there. Sorry. Looking. How can I do this?
There you go.
It's okay.
That's okay. No, we know you're busy. So thanks again. We're going through your build. And we just
awesome.
finished Billy the Squid.
Oh, that was my favorite one.
Yeah, we were just gonna say we haven't moved on yet to the treehouse, but we wanted to ask you some.
If you had any thoughts about Billy.
Oh, God damn it.
You're being paged is okay.
You get a call again.
Go do what you need to do.
Oh man.
Hey,
That's
Steph,
okay.
I'm gonna call. Just come in.
I'm gonna put you in the green room.
Yeah.
So in case he has to say something, medical. We don't want that being recorded.
Just in general.
It's okay. I think he's back. I think he's back. Yeah, we didn't want you to say anything medical that HIPAA and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sorry, tis the life, I guess. Anyways, shoot, Billy Squid, I thought it was awesome because I thought it was a great concept. Of course, it required rebuilding the thing 3 separate times. I don't know how much Justin talked about that.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
It's so funny how strong those things are because when you try to stand on them to make them lock in even closer, it never works because it won't line up right. But I liked how he draped, and I thought we built him very structurally sound. Having watched the other seasons of Lego Masters, I knew that the way the bricks just locked together created an enormous amount of strength, specifically with the bridge. So I thought we should just go off of that type of technique and lock them all together and see how we did. Of course, neither of us had a whole lot of sculpting experience, and I had none. So going into this thing, I was like, I'm pretty sure I know how this wanted to work. Let's just go with it. And I think he came out great. I really liked him.
Yeah, it was good. I think the only detail we're missing that Justin mentioned is the belt buckle that you made. Can you tell us what the belt buckle was?
Justin, have you told the story?
Nope.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't.
So the belt buckle. I grew up in Texas and we went to Fort Worth Rodeo all the time, Houston Rodeo. So the belt buckle was a giant squid, just on a belt buckle, and I showed the Stevens. I was like, check this out! I actually made a belt buckle. They won for like being the best squid in some rodeo in the ocean, and I thought it was fantastic. But then the Stevens look at mine and they make one of the bullfrog, and they're like, oh no, they made one of the squid, which is even bigger, and I'm like, you jerks! I'm gonna have to. And then there started a friendly competition of can the squid make it onto various things, and can either of us build better? I thought they were absolutely hysterical. And the fact, so that started the competition. Then we're like betting, okay, who's going to ride the bull the longest? Which one is going to make it? And of course, we beat them. I have to have that be known. So technically, Crash owes me a belt buckle.
Oh, actually,
Ooh.
I'm going to give you full screen so you can say that again. Oops, sorry. In the middle of eating. We won't
We
do
have
that.
great time.
Never mind.
We can
I
cut
haven't
that.
even,
We can edit that out.
no, I don't care.
You can cut that.
Crash
Okay.
owes me a Lego made belt buckle.
So Crash, also known as Stephen Castley, he owes you a belt buckle.
Well, I can't
We're-
say a belt buckle because technically he has given me a Calgary belt buckle and it's
Ah.
beautiful. But a Lego one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will bring that up because we're interviewing them on Monday. So
Excellent.
we will do that.
You need to
Thank
send me their link so that I can hop on that and remind him personally.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay.
The special message from Austin. But yeah, let's I guess we can go back now and talk about the Halloween costume if you guys are.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
for
And
it.
since you've already spoiled it.
Yeah, sorry. No, it's just something we wanted to ask
We were
about.
just talking about since you already mentioned the Halloween costume, that the two of you seem like you have a hive mind. Because I don't know if you planned it ahead of time or not.
Oh. No,
But-
actually.
Yeah. So we had to ask, because I mentioned this to
Yeah.
Remy. I go, did you know that they dressed up as the same character for Halloween?
I did not know this.
So you came up with this independently. That's why we wanted to ask about this.
Truth be told, I'm pretty sure Justin thought of the idea first, if I remember right.
I had the long hair, so I said I'm gonna be Eddie. Like so.
I had to order the shirt, but everything else I already owned.
Including the wig?
Yeah, I did have the wig. No. I had to get the
Oh.
wig. I had a blonde wig.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I think what is interesting about us doing that is the fact that Stranger Things 4 was filmed in and around Albuquerque.
Oh, okay.
I mean, one of the houses that is specifically in the show was literally down the street from it was like my neighbor.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, wow.
I think it was on our mind a lot. I mean, of course, it was a very popular costume this year, but as far as us, I mean, I could literally walk to the house and be like, "Hey, you close set, you can't be here." I'm like, "BS, I'm walking my dog. Move."
Yeah.
But Justin
for-
had
but
the
you
hair,
guys-
and it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for me it was almost like so the year before I had dressed up as like the punk 11, you know, when she's like goes into Chicago or whatever and has like the slick back hair.
Mhm.
So I did that the year before also. So I was trying to stay on the Stranger Things kick. So anyway.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to see
Yeah,
what
but
the
you
next
guys are
costume is.
both into metal music, right?
Oh yeah.
Well,
all kinds of
that was
music,
the
but
other
yes.
thing we noticed on your exit when you said goodbye to the cameras, you did the devil horns, and I said, "I'm surprised they left those in." I was pleasantly surprised, and
It's
is that
more of a
is that
rock
one of
on
your codes
versus
you
devil
would
horns.
do on the
Yeah,
show often?
Yeah, it was more like rock on, you know, that was
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah.
we were
but-
trying to think of a good way to say bye. And that was probably the best way.
It
to
was
say bye.
great. It was great. Yeah, I was telling Remy, I go, "Did you see they did the rock on devil horns?" He said, "Yeah,
Yeah, it's
awesome."
that it's not just the devil's territory. It's been co-opted now, so it's for all.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's also I spent a lot of time in North Carolina, and that's the Wolf Pack too. I don't know if you
Yeah,
follow
there's the NC Wolf
college
Pack.
sports, but that's the Wolf Pack.
Well,
Or
see,
And
or,
it's
or if you're
Cardinal.
from
So
from Albuquerque
What it's
and
worth.
it's the University of Mexico Lobos, it's everyone's a Lobo, same thing.
oh, okay. Oh,
I did
cool.
residency in Texas. Hook 'em horns. There you go.
Yep, exactly.
You
It's sports
basically
related.
have to legally. You have to use that gesture.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh. The internet is
I think
rife with
awesome.
goblins tonight.
Yeah, well, Austin's also working, so he said he'll pop in and out, which is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's back.
Okay.
He's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what just happened.
That's okay. So yeah, I guess get back to the treehouse build. Who came up with the concept of things popping out of books?
Totally, Justin.
Yeah, well, we were trying to think of like what is something that we both love to do, and like him and I both love to read, and we both read a lot as kids, and so the idea of building like the perfect kids treehouse sort of thing was like, why don't we just do it on books, man? And he was just like, all right, I like it, and so funny enough, I've had a few people ask me if I based it off of the book builds. There's the Lego Idea book build, and then there's that Hogwarts Icon set from Lego as well that use the similar books. And I actually hadn't built either of those sets before the show, so it was just figuring out how to do it then and there.
Right.
But yeah, that's how we sort of said, all right, I'll start working on the books, and Austin, you start working on how this thing's gonna stick on a tree. So yeah.
That is it was so bizarre because like it's so organic. You're like, all right, there's lots of different ways that you can make this work and attach it to a tree. And I just saw the pom-poms. I was like, dude, we just need to build on that. That's a great building platform. Little did I know the complications that would come from that.
Was it hard to get them to actually balance and stay there? Just stay?
Oh, absolutely. Because as soon as you moved one part of the tree, it moved another part of the tree, which then moved this other part.
Yeah.
And then they're all off balance and things started cracking. And you're like, all right, don't touch it. And then, of course, I mess with it and it breaks.
I wasn't sure if they were going to leave that editing in, because I think the last 25 minutes when we're putting all of this together, Austin is trying to tweak here and there, adding bricks here and there, and I'm watching this thing just like creak and move, and I'm just like, stop. I'm just yelling at him, just stop, and he can't help himself. He's still doing it. It's funny now, but I was freaking out at that point. That we were gonna lose everything. I think at one point I look at him and I go, look, if it falls and breaks, we have nothing and we're out. And he just looked at me and he just like goes like this with another small brown brick and keeps putting it on. I will say,
life within.
Well, and I think we are one of the few. I'm trying to think of any other teams that did this, and I know that Ethan and Dom also used the support. They also had a rocket and a pirate ship in a castle, and I don't know, very similar to our build being right next to us, but they
didn't have a biplane, so
that's true.
That's true. An awesome biplane.
Most of the
we lost your audio.
I think one of my favorite things about this build is the fact that I was assigned to put it on the tree. He's doing the books, and he's spending forever on the books. I'm like, good Lord, can you do anything else? And like an hour before, all of a sudden, he's like, oh, we also need the things on the books. I'm like, yeah, I know. But he cranks out the plane, the boat, the rocket ship, all within like 15 minutes. I'm like, well, how'd you do that? I mean, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but it was quite impressive to watch him start building all these creatures. And you could see, then that's when I fully recognized, I was like, oh, he understands all these pieces are going to go together. I'm here as totally just a sideshow to this thing. I'll do my best not to get us eliminated. The good news is, as the show went on, we definitely had more camaraderie and a better understanding of how each other kind of built and our own strengths as builders, I guess. And I thought we started working great as a team. But we got better kind of each competition until we just got fatigued and tired out. Hey, dude.
Sorry about that. Somebody started calling me and it throws off everything on this. That's one problem with using your phone.
No problem.
So anyway, what I was going to say was that Austin did something that I don't think a lot of the other groups did, which was, if you look at most of the other builds, each platform that they have is not actually connected by like physical bricks so much as like there were lots of rope ladders, or there were lots of things that were like were very forgiving, and so we didn't really have that. And I thought that was one of the things that made our build look very much like a treehouse. And I kind of wish that would have been. I know that Jamie mentioned it quite a lot in our feedback, and I'm not sure. I don't remember a lot of that making the show because it was I just don't remember a lot of our build being on the show that week. But I thought that was a really cool thing that we had going for us as well, is that it truly did look like a kid's treehouse, which a lot of the other builds I didn't think were so much like that. So
no, it was a great treehouse. Nothing like, I don't know, some Dutch candy house or something.
I don't know if Emily's still in the chat, but
that's a good way to find out.
She was watching earlier.
Mind you, I throw shade at teams that beat us. So.
There are, though, when we talk to John and Xavier and Michelle and Tacos, they're in New York. So they never had a tree house. So the whole context was also different for them. Did you have tree houses as kids growing up?
Oh, absolutely. And I helped quasi build one in my backyard this year.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I didn't have tree houses so much as we had a lot of forts that we built at our family cabin. And so whatever wood was lying around, whatever nails, whatever, we would make some things. And then, so yeah, definitely familiar with tree houses for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you though that the way you've connected the platforms really does look like a really great way to develop a treehouse.
Continuous thing, yeah.
Well, and I will say Justin's books, I mean, as much time as he spent on them, they looked awesome. Everyone's over like, they look like actual books.
Yeah, they do. They do
look
like actual books.
Thank you. I made them too big. If I was doing it again, I would make them smaller because then we would have less stuff to try and fill. Because part of our feedback was like, they look a little bit empty. And you're like, sorry, I made them so big. That's my fault, But
oh, I want to bring up this point now that you're saying that, because I think I can say this. They had specifically said as part of the criteria for the build to where if you look at the tree, you can see the build on all angles. So you can. On ours, the rocket ship's in the back, the pirate ship is on the back as well. So at 360, you can see everything. But when they came through the judge, they're like, it doesn't make for a good picture shot of what's being judged. We missed some of the details in the back, was specifically some of the feedback we got. And it really kind of bugged me, but I understand where they're coming from, because for the show, you have to take kind of one shot and portray it. You can't give everyone 360 views, otherwise the show would go on indefinitely. But it was interesting to have some criteria not be addressed in the final conversation of how the build looks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's similar to that. Similar to the Jurassic World build, in that there was one camera angle they had set. So we were like, I guess there must be one. This is going to be a 360 shot. They said use all of the tree, and so we did. And then they were like, well, we can't see your stuff in the back, and we were like, there's not supposed to be a back. It's supposed to be all the way around. So anyway, just
we'll have to ask this too. Did the bugs have an issue? Did you have an issue with the bugs on the tree as well?
I don't care about bugs. They were there. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yep. Live and let live.
Well, it was curious about how
some of
the teams were really affected by the bugs. Yeah.
I would argue some of the people that didn't have the outdoor experience were probably more bugs than us. But as Justin said, he was out in his cabin. I was outdoors camping my entire childhood. So a little bug, I'd much rather be outdoors doing just about anything than that's my relaxation place.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
As long as they weren't scorpions or something, we're fine.
But all right, yeah. So let's move on to episode 5, and we have to talk about the moment here, the tableau of everyone going for the leashes. And I like that you guys are just staying out of the initial impact here.
Oh no, we knew.
Were you going for Collins or?
Well,
So
one of the teams
we-
mentioned
Oh, is it-
that Austin, you tend to have a saunter when you and in this photo, your saunter is actually quite prominent in here.
I'm mosey. I like to say I'm
Yeah,
mosey.
mosey along. Yeah, in the back, on the back right there. You can see that you kind of like moseying along, and let them get into the fray, right?
Well, I'll say this: how many times do you see other teams running back and forth to the brick pit? Like all the time. You will never see me run to the brick pit. Once in a blue moon. Otherwise, I'm just like, nah, I'll get there when I get there.
Well, that's a way to conserve energy, though, too, because it's a long haul, what you're doing with the building.
Well, exactly. In the hospital, you never see me run. Code blue, I run. I run when it's important.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: if you look back in the like right before this shot, there's a shot of us all starting to run, and they have the scene of us running. I'm actually very close to being right next to Crash. We're like both at the front, and I stopped because I'm like, this is gonna end horribly, and then it just gets horrible. Like,
Yeah.
so just smashed it. And then the producers were a little bit upset with us, and it was a thing. But
they're sitting there going like, why did you break things? And we're like, you told us to run. Well, you should run, but stop. This is a competition. Come on, use some common sense here. It was so fun. I'm glad they put it in, because after this, we had to wait around while they rebuilt it for another hour.
Well, Jonathan is underneath the table here. he's behind Greg in this shot. And him and Xavier also said that those spiky fences were, those are like authentic dog show fences, and that, somebody could have gotten really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Xavier got squished.
Jonathan, he just had grabbed the Murph collar, and then that's when the table hit, and he was like, he had a moment of joy, is the way he said it. He had one moment of joy, and chaos ensued.
Well, and if you look at his partner, he's going like, "Oh no!" Just like Jonathan just getting smashed, like
right.
Yeah, so
it's really
they were absolutely hysterical. I love John and Xavier. They were great the whole time. They have great laughs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were fun to interview too, and Jonathan had also shared with us that he became blonde 2 days before the show. So.
Oh whoa.
Yeah, 2 days before the show, the producer said, "Oh, you're showing up blonde, aren't you?" 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
8 hours to become a blonde. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well, I had a mohawk for a year, so that wasn't just
I was just going to segue to that you and also Carrie from the Brand Happies had the same hairdo.
I know. This all greased up. Oh man. His was so funny some days.
But
there's Collins.
Yeah, there's Collins. Were you guys going for Collins, or did you have a specific dog in mind, or were you just?
I have Cavalier King Charles, and I knew their calm disposition, so I knew if we could get that dog, one, I knew the important aspects of it, but two, I knew it'd be really chill. So I figured as far as dogs go, that would be a little easier with familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I initially was like, no, let's get the Corgi, and I'm really glad he did, because I think that, all credit to Nick, that Corgi I think would be really hard to build in brick. So, the fact that he did the little moving button stuff was awesome, but I think that would be a really tough one to do. And I think we got a really nice chill dog that let us, measure him very well and figure out dimensions and all that kind of stuff. So
it was really hard sculpting a dog. I had no idea. Like, God, it was just brutal. Like organic shapes and movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that.
you guys did an amazing job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh no, go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, man, I think that if we become successful with those legs moving, then maybe we actually win this one, because Austin had it. We were so close. The plates were just too heavy. They were just too heavy, and it was causing it to fall apart. So we had to scrap it, and I'm glad we scrapped it. But man, I would love another go at it. I'm sure Austin would too.
Oh, absolutely. The bummer about that is, you don't, with the show, you don't get to build things again, and you don't get to like test, does this work? You just have to go with your gut and like, I think it's going to work this way. I'll gear it this way. And when it doesn't work, you don't really have time to go back and readjust and reanalyze. I'm not that good of a builder to where I could just do that initially the first time. Something like that. I'm sure there's people out there that can, but I know if we got another shot at that, I could make that work so good. Because I always imagine like those pool toys where their feet kind of did this. And I'm like, how cool it would be if made a dog that with the pool toys, their legs did that. Just didn't happen for us.
Well, Beth says Colin never looked so good. That's coming from the owner directly. So
hey, Beth.
You got Beth's approval.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah, this build. She's so nice. Oh my God, so nice. So as far as the build goes, just a couple of things that I think I would highlight. So I spent so much time on that face because you gotta nail the face. That's like the big thing. But one thing from a building standpoint that I think is an interesting thing is that if you look at how it's centered, it's actually an odd number, so that you have one brick that's right in the center. But the body is even bricked. And so there had to be a way that we would integrate the head, which was odd bricked, into the even brick and still be centered. But that was purposeful because, if you're trying to sculpt faces, having the single brick in the center is really the best way to do it, or the only way to do it, in my opinion, in order to get realistic. So I think that was really important. And that was one of those things that, I will say, I think we got a little bit lucky in that I did not think about strength at the neck that much. I put it in and thought, oh, this will be strong enough. But there were a few other teams that maybe did the same thing and didn't get quite as lucky, and the neck was the weak point. So, so that was one thing. I just remember going back and being like, Austin, how about this? And he'd be like, nope, eyes aren't cute enough. Do it better. And I was just like, yep.
As much time as he spent on the treehouse making those books, I knew how well he could like do things now. And so when I saw a face, I was like, no, you got to do it again. No, you got to do it again. And you're right. But I think the face is what makes it. And you have to distinguish characteristics of the dog. So Cavaliers are known for big floppy ears and floppy feet and a bushy tail.
Right. And that cute face too. And Beth says y'all are the best. Yeah, and you're right about it's being dead center. It has to be just right on point.
So I think with these builds also you have to find the defining characteristic, right? The one thing that you can focus on to make really good, because you don't have time to perfect everything.
But the mouth is also really good because because you go back to an even number of studs here. I just thought that was really neat integration on the mouth. Then the rest of it is odd, and then
thank
even
you.
Again.
Yeah, thank you. We did start to run a little light on time, and so I think some of the sculpting, if you look particularly on the side of the back, it's a little more rough than I think we would have liked. But overall, I thought this was a really, I thought this was a really fun build, and I think it came out pretty well. All right, see you, Austin.
Okay, thanks, Austin.
Thanks, Austin. Did you
anyway, this was a blast.
Did you intentionally make it all studs showing, or were there just not enough curves and tiles in those colors?
So a little bit of both. One of the reasons I was glad that we were able to get Collins is that I honestly think that the roughness of the the fur, and it's not. I mean, not that he was rough; he's super soft, but that gives more of a fur-like appearance. You know,
Mm-hmm.
where if you kind of contrast that with some of the more smooth-haired, fine-haired dogs, you know, it really did benefit from the smoothness. I think, you know, Brendan and Greg, their dog is just that was a sculpting thing. That could be something that could be in a museum. That thing was perfect.
Oh yeah,
And
Mikey.
they did a very good integration of curves and slopes and that sort of deal. And I really felt like, you know, it wasn't going to help us to try and do that. And then also, as far as the colors go, you're absolutely right. It was hard to find colors that would be perfect in that regard as well. So
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, Collins looks amazing. You know,
We love Colin.
I think Collins just had knee surgery, so we wish him a speedy recovery on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah,
this was
I
just
hope
a really
Collins is
great
home
build.
now and relaxing.
Yep.
Definitely.
Chilling out,
So yeah,
Yeah.
recuperating.
looks
hope-
like Austin is back.
I hope they do another dog episode in a future season, because we had interviewed Lego Masters New Zealand, and one of the contestants had a therapy dog. So Dan brought Smudge onto the show, and that was the first time a dog appeared on Lego Masters in all of the different seasons all around the world. And now we can say, yeah, we've got more dogs.
It's been done. You can do it.
So much fun. Yeah.
But
This was
okay.
great concept for an episode. Absolutely great concept for an episode.
The Brickminster Dog Show. And I loved how they had those brick built microphones on the stand too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did a great job. That's the set designers.
But okay. So now we will move on to the White Widow, episode 6, the pirate ship challenge. And yeah, is this Billy the Squid here on the mast? Is that where he is?
That's so he's on the mast, and then he's also
on the sail, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's on the sail, and then they briefly highlighted, and I was really glad that they did. I had a stained glass window on the back in the sort of where the captain's deck would be. And so that's also
Billy the
Squid.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was really cool. I didn't realize it was Billy. I didn't make the connection though.
Yeah, so we were trying to throw that little thing in there. You know, this was a tough build. I love building ships. I think you can actually see over my shoulder. There's a custom black pearl that that I built, and I've got a few of them. A few different ships that I've liked to do, but this one was tough because you don't have the ship base, and it's sort of like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make it strong enough? All that kind of deal. You know, this build was another example of having to redo things. What happened was there was an actual length limit, and there was a width limit as well, and so it had to be a certain X length long, but couldn't be longer than this. And oddly enough, in the presentation of the challenge, they gave one of them in inches, and then they gave one of those parameters in studs. And so my brain didn't think about. Yeah. So my brain missed the stud part in my head, and so we're 5 hours into this build, and I'm looking around, and our ship is so much longer than everybody else's, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I got to count these studs. So I had to cut out, I think, 16 studs in the middle of that ship, which is why it's a little more short and stout than I would have normally wanted it to be. But having to break basically your structure ultimately ended up in us running a little light on time, and that I think is noticed by, or makes noticeable the I don't want to say it's bare, but there's less details than we would have liked to have included on the ship itself. So you know, it's okay. You know, it's fun. We had a lot of fun with this. I think that our story was really a cool story. It was very original. One of the things they wanted was a very original story, and so we thought that would be kind of neat. And Austin loves history, and so he brought up during the show the most famous pirate in the world was a woman, and we thought we would highlight that. And so
Qing Shi from South Seas Asia, the South China Seas. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. So
there were
No, go ahead. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was trying to zoom in, but it's Victoria the Vengeful was the captain, I think, and I was just trying to get a shot of her, but can't really see it from this angle. But yeah, continue, please.
Yeah. So one thing I would have liked to have done, so you can see the planking that I have in white along the sides. I was actually planning on covering all of the studs on the deck of the ship itself in brown or wooden kind of as well, and I thought that would have made it look a lot more like a ship as well. You know, I did not necessarily expect us to be in the bottom two on this one, but you know, I have to agree with some of the feedback. I would have loved a second go at that, you know, at the harpoon again to make it a little more harpoon like. It's a little rough for sure. You know, I you know, when you're running short on time, the time's got to go somewhere. Yeah. And so we thought, okay, well, we have to have masts. They have to stay up. We have to have sails. That makes it look like a ship. You know, and we have to have some characters in there. So, you know, it's probably fair as far as being where we were. But, you know, overall, I think it had most of the elements of a pirate ship. I did think that, you know, it didn't dawn on me until he said it when we're in the judging and they just say something along the lines of, I guess I just can't really tell that it's not like a whaling ship or a fishing vessel. And I'm looking at it going, you were so right. Why didn't you tell me that like 6 hours ago? You know?
Well, I'm also curious. Emily had mentioned in a chat about how the platform that you put this on, that when they exploded, what they showed on TV was actually slow motion, that when these exploded, it was like in an instant. And how does it feel? I mean, it's got to be hard that you spend hours and hours working on this, and then it's like gone in just like less than a second.
You know, it's kind of fun to blow stuff up. I think Austin and I talk about that on the show at one point. It's just like, come on, like, why would you not want to explode something? You know, and so we weren't as emotionally as attached to this one, especially having our feedback that it almost, you know, got us off the show. Right. So it was kind of fun to see him explode. But I will say this. They did not tell us how loud it was going to be. They did not tell us when it was going to happen. When Steven and Steven's ship explodes, because theirs was the first to go, all of us literally jumped. It was so loud. Everybody was like, I think a few people visibly like, you know, kind of thing. It was so loud. These things just were obliterated, and it was that fast. They, you know, less than a second. So
yeah. Wow. And I think Liz mentioned the sound too, that you should have gotten earplugs for that episode that they didn't give you.
Yeah. One other thing that I think was super cool, and I spent some time looking at when we weren't on the clock, is if you look right behind that title, there's a Skull Island guy.
Yeah, we did.
That's a yeah, that was just so cool to see. That's I think that's a Nathan piece right there for sure. But this scene was a really, really cool brick built thing to just admire. It was so cool.
Yeah, the whole shoreline was just alive with all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it was very cool.
And we don't see the cannon in this shot. The cannon was facing the ships, which made me think that was foreshadowing that we just didn't know until they started blowing the ships up. Yes, and Emily agrees too that the Skull Island was so cool. So, Emily, did you hear Austin's comment earlier about the treehouse?
No, let's not start any beef right now. I don't want to instigate anything.
Okay.
But yeah, this was cool. The twist was weird. It didn't affect the outcome at all, but it was still a twist. So
it was fun.
It
was fun. Yeah. Will likes to blow stuff up. So
yeah. But
Emily did hear the comment.
But yeah, no, it's interesting because I know Corey from season 1, he really is on the side of like never blowing anything up. But I can definitely see where it would be like cathartic to like let go of a build that maybe you didn't like as much.
Well, plus you don't own these bricks, so it's not as if you paid for these and then, you know, oh no, you know, you're ruining my bricks. So I think I would have an attachment to it too.
And I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure this was only an 8-hour challenge. It all blends together at times, but 8
let's
hours is really
see.
not
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah, this was 8 hours.
That's not that long a time. So this was a really fast challenge where we were trying our best, and you could see everybody built this whole time. There was not a I think maybe Brendan and Greg were the only ones that finished a little early. Everybody else was right to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are fast builders too.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
So now let's move on to Camp Go with the Flow.
Yes,
this
was one of my favorites.
Amazing.
Love this.
This one we had so much fun. This one was just a blast. Yeah. I guess what I'll say is it took us a while to come up with an idea for this one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Remy, what were you going to say? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no, I just like this was great because all the mechanics in this, all the moving things in this build really like went along with the theme so well. Like the tug of war over the lava and the surfing in the lava, like those were just great ideas for mechanics.
The burnt marshmallow is, I think, one of my favorite details of this.
There they are.
Yeah, we talked about this with Ethan and Dom about how. And you have a burnt out camp counselor too, right?
Exactly. I wish they would have highlighted this. And if you can, I wonder if you can see the other ones, because I think there's a camp counselor to the left. Yeah, you can see it in the bottom left. If you look at the camp counselors, they actually are all built around a light brick, and so those light bricks are on, and so they glow. Mm-hmm. The only one that's not is the burnt out one, but all of the other camp counselors are built around a light brick, and so they look like they're actually part of the camp or part of the rock. Yeah. So I really wish they would have highlighted that detail. We had some other cool stuff in there. I don't know if either of you have ever been to summer camp, but usually you have some sort of a team theme or a cabin theme with each house, and so if they didn't really highlight this in the show, but there's different gems for each house. So there's the sapphire house, the ruby house, and the emerald house. And so that's blue, that one's red, and then the last one's green. And then if you look at each of the the kids that are attending the camp, they're all one of those teams. They're all wearing blue, red, or green. And so we really tried to focus on some of those really,
those are cool,
small details, but very campy. Yeah, very campy details. That's what camp's all about, right?
Yeah.
So I was very grateful for the feedback from Amy when she first walks up and says, "Hey, how are you going to make this not just look like a big gray blob?" I was like, "That's a great idea. That's a wonderful thing to put into my head right now. I need to make this not look like a big gray blob." So that's when I started working on the color. Austin, I was just we were just kind of zooming in on your houses and how we had the different gem houses, the sapphire house, the ruby house, and the emerald house, and how all our campers were all themed with that as well. So.
Oh man, well, I mean, I went to summer camp like every year for most of my life. So the idea of camp and activities, I was like, I know what this should traditionally look like. I don't know what they're looking for. I've kind of missed the mark a few times, but let's just go for it. Especially when Jess was like, lava. I was like, all right, that sounds crazy enough. Let's try to make it work. And I think it was looking at it now. I'm like, this is a freaking awesome build. I'm super.
It's amazing.
There's also an outhouse back there too that had gyms. It was kind of funny.
I love the wide shot too, because the wide shot just shows you the flow of the lava, the colors, it pops. There's no mistake what this camp is about. It's so beautiful. And this is a great example of what does it look like from like 10 feet away versus 3 feet away versus, up close. And you just really knocked it out of the park. This is wonderful.
I'm sure Justin has told you how many things we've had to rebuild. I know talking about the ship and rebuilding that one and multiple other things. This one we didn't. This is the first one we didn't. So near the end, everyone's kind of scrambling. We're like, oh, so this is what it's like to finish on time, not how to rebuild it. What a great idea.
It really was. We had a half an hour or 45 minutes of us just like, well, let's place this camper this way. And you can see Austin has some rock climbers going up the side. And he was like, oh, I don't like how that one's positioned. haha, we have 5 minutes, let's figure this out, or we have 10 minutes, let's figure that out. And so it was really nice to be able to put these nice finishing details onto it without having to be stressed for time. And I think it really, you can tell, because I love this build. I'm so proud of this build. This thing was awesome that him and I made, man. And you gotta highlight the sign. That sign is just brilliant, Austin. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
another one of those iconic things, right? One of those things that every camp has. They have a big sign.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the first
also,
thing I was.
the color changes too, the ombre and variegated effect you put on there.
Well, you know, I don't know to do it any differently. So with me, it's like, all right, let's see if this works, and I guess it did.
Yeah,
Nice.
this one,
Love it. Absolutely love it.
I have to highlight Austin again, because he did basically the motion that Jamie talked about in the show. It is not easy to do, and so the way that he captured the surfing was great. I was basically like, I'm going to start working on this. You work on that motion. We want to nail that motion because it tells so much of the story. And then once he finished it early enough that we were able to build all around it, and that I think was really a key part of this. So,
thanks, man. I think in the beginning, what I was saying about each of us finding our kind of ways of working as a team, Justin was really good at knowing which pieces to use and minifig scale and how to do certain techniques. So I was like, well, if I can work on something, let's work on motors. So I just kind of took it upon myself, like, let's just practice on this. So I spent a lot of time as the show went on trying to get familiar with motors and motion and physics and levers and all that jazz, because in the end it's all just a bunch of levers.
Yeah, I will agree, because I don't know any different, but I will take your word for it.
The funny thing is that we got critiques saying our motion was in the same plane. I mean, the tug of war is going forward and back, and the surfer is going rotationally but in the same direction. Jamie was like, you should put them at different angles. I'm like, but they're completely different mechanisms. One's on a rotational gear, the other one's just a back and forth piston. And you know, you can't argue with the judges. I can now, because they can't talk back to me.
Is that at the same time, is that the kind of nitpick that's good? Because that's way like nothing else is wrong with the build. Like that they have to go down to that level of detail to find something to improve on.
I'll look at it that way. Thanks, man.
But yeah, I was just curious about what's happening in this kind of little pool at the back here. Is that like a spa or something, or?
That's the cooking area. That's where all the chef. Those are actually grill pits that are over the lava, and then there's a chef back there.
And that's why it's in the chef hat. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's where they're cooking their Dutch ovens and everything.
Yep.
Okay. Hopefully not.
That is so cool. Fine. Or should I say that is so hot?
But yeah. Oh, okay. Now I can see the turkey legs in there.
Yeah. So there's little buckets of food. There was all. So I've cooked over a fire a lot. Once again, going back to this, and knowing that, yeah, I mean, if you got an open flame like a lava, dude, we're all getting together and grilling out.
All right.
Those are the kind of details, though, that we could add at the end, because the main structure had already been built.
Right.
So once again, saving us some time.
All right. Well, yeah, this was awesome. And now on to another awesome build, the Piece of Cake golf course. And
this one I think was one of this one was one of those where like Austin and I kind of just like sat for a while, like, what are we gonna do? And we see like the Stevens are working on the castle already. You know, they have a couple things that look castle-like. You know, and we had talked to Emily and Dave and knew they were doing like the gnome house and that kind of thing. And and I was just thinking like, like I was thinking of like my significant other who loves to bake, and it was just like, what about like baking a cake? And I don't know if you remember it this way or not, but I remember, Austin, you just looking at me being like, all right, like sure, let's do it. Like, 'cause we were like, had nothing yet. We were just like at the drawing board, half an hour in, and was like, yeah, let's do it. Cool. And I'm really glad we did, because man, this one came out awesome too.
Yeah.
It was one of those like, well, that's unique. Sure. I just kind of built upon it. And I think what really sold me on it is when he's like, so if we start out with ingredients, but we end up actually baking a cake, I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. You can tell a story as you go through a hole. And that's what makes a lot of really fun putt-putt or really fun mini golf holes, right? You kind of go through this adventure of the story being told, like either Fairyland or Animal Park or what have you. So I thought it was great as far as the story goes.
Yeah, and I remember in the beginning, Amy saying like, yeah, tell us a story with your build. And this worked out great. I think it worked out really well.
Yeah, it works great when they like your story. We'll get to that one next.
Oh boy.
Now, did Will do some test putts on yours? Because we've talked to some of the other contestants where he did try some putts beforehand. Did he get a chance to test it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. But you guys didn't get a chance to play each other's course, right?
No, I wish we had. It would have been really fun. I wish they hadn't rushed us so much, just in general with the whole production, because I would have really liked to appreciate all the other teams and like truly get to, interact with their builds. I mean, we got to walk around and kind of see it once we're all complete, but it would have been fun to play. Maybe more hole-in-ones would have occurred, but that's all right. We'll be the only hole-in-one.
Oh yeah.
So cool things I like about this build is I felt really comfortable sculpting by this point. I had been practicing it a lot, so I made bowls and eggs. But then to see so we had yolks, open-ons, and I felt really cool about those. But then to watch what Justin could do with like spatulas and the spilled milk was just beautiful.
Yeah, that is amazing.
The whole
because
carton.
It also like makes the player play a certain way on the course. So it's like an obstacle to a degree, even though it's not really big and huge. So I thought that was really neat use of the course itself.
Yeah, you got it.
This one.
Oh no, good.
This one, I was just gonna say that Austin was like, I'm gonna make that oven work, and I'm gonna make the oven door open. And one of the problems we had was just that in order to make a glass window kind of thing, which we wanted to make very wide and make it look very much like an oven, it was just so heavy. It was too much stress for where we wanted to kind of keep it while maintaining the illusion that it was an opening oven. And so he's working on it. And I think we're 4 hours in at this point, and he's just like, it's not working, man. I can't do it. And he's like, we've already spent 4 hours in this. I can't waste any more time on this. And I just look at him and go, get it working. You can do it. I know you can. And then within another 45 minutes, that thing worked solid. And I think that was probably one of the key things about this build that actually ultimately got us the win, was that that door opened perfectly. We had lights on the cake, and it said Will on it. That was all Austin.
Once again, going back to the motors. So we were kind of finding our thing. Interestingly enough, what they had to do, it had to be playable multiple times. So I could always make the door go down easy enough, but it was getting the motor and the torque to crank it back up that required a lot of issues.
Oh, interesting.
Luckily, worm gears are amazing.
Yeah. One other thing that was a little tricky with this was there's a color sensor, and we wanted the oven only to work if you make it into the cup. And so they didn't have the flags in the cup when we were building this thing. And so we have the color sensor that sits right in there. But if you notice during the actual playing, we're the only team that doesn't have the flag actually in the cup because our color sensor is in there. And so, it wouldn't fit otherwise. So the other thing about those color sensors is they're a little bit finicky. So we actually selected a color for Will to play with for it to work. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Which color did you use?
If you use different color golf balls, only certain ones will work.
Red worked the best, and so we picked red.
Okay.
We
Cool.
tested this thing a bunch. We had to.
Well, yeah, especially since you got the hole-in-one, and if you had a different ball, it could have been a whole different story, right?
Well, it was really funny because like we were testing it, and one of the balls, it was working fine every time, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, we switched balls, and like it's not working anymore. No, what's going on? Is I have to rebuild this whole thing? Switched balls, it worked again. I was like, oh, that's a nightmare. Things that you learn.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Well, that goes back to testing, right? That you have to test a variety of factors. Otherwise, if you just assume, yeah, it's going to work every time, and then it goes in there and it's like, no, it's not working.
I know.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah, and that was one thing as far as testing that like you don't really think about when you're trying to build it, because you're just trying to build something that looks really cool. But for instance, with the dog episode, I think we are within 10 minutes left, and it's like, dude, we have not tried to walk this dog yet. We better like do that now.
Yes.
And so we ran over there, and we're like, all right, I think it'll work. We just got to go slowly. So you'll notice our pace is quite slow when we're walking up in the show, in the episode, but it it held together.
It held together.
Fine, so. And so we kind of took that experience and were like, we gotta test this thing. We gotta test this thing a bunch and make sure that it works. And so, it came out pretty well. And I think that the mixer looked really good on TV. The large scale of it, I think, was really impressive, and that was helpful for us also.
Yeah, all the mechanics too, and of course, playing up to Will too, because Will's a big part of the show. It's great that you had that cake with his name on it.
Or and just giving him the hole-in-one, I'm sure was also that helped.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, I'm not above buttering up people. Absolutely.
Well, and we were also thinking, like, having played lots of mini golf in our lives, was just kind of like, is a hole really that fun if you have to like 4-putt because it's so hard? Like, no, like what? That's not fun. Nobody's having fun doing that. And so
no, I mean, why would you want to create a hole that has a par 5 and all kinds of construction things that's going?
Who could we possibly be talking about?
Oh my god! What a horrible idea.
Oh.
Well,
to be clear, all these teams beat me. So.
In their defense, they didn't really do a lot of mini golf. So and they didn't also account for the fact that they would putt either left-handed or right-handed, whereas Will always putted right-handed. So they said we had no clue, and he was like stepping into our build.
Yeah, I know. The things you don't plan for, right? That's right. I'm sure they didn't think about that at all. Just like there's certain things we didn't think about.
They were kind of shocked, and especially too when he kicked one of part of their build when he was leaving the course. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, the one thing to say though is that they're always gonna be still on the show, and we're not. So they're doing something right.
That's okay.
But you surpassed them on this episode though.
Yeah, you actually got the jacket. Do you guys have it? Have you walked around in the jacket? Do you have? Oh, here we go.
So we do have it.
There it is.
It is ridiculously wide. If you look at this thing, it is super wide. We have not yet walked around the hospital with it yet, but that is definitely on the list for the next time that we're both working, is to do rounds wearing the jacket. So we will 100% do that.
I can't wait.
The second challenge in the season where somebody got a physical prize. I'm kind of amazed that they just gave you the jacket and said, "Here you go." They seem to not like to do that very often.
That's true.
Yeah, right. No, they said you can't have it until after the episode airs because we don't trust you. And I'm like, all right, that's fair. But then they shipped it to us, and yeah, it was. We've talked to Emily and Dave about this, and they maintained that the reason they didn't win was because they couldn't. It wouldn't have been a good shot to have Emily and Dave in this jacket. We're the same height, so that's
right. The height differential. Yeah, she mentioned that on Nick's stream too. After this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
you guys look great in
it was
it.
a really
Plus,
fun experience.
you're wearing the green scrubs. Now, I'm curious about this. Did they tell you to wear green for this episode instead of the blue?
Probably.
Yeah, we didn't pick our colors for each episode. They
They
just
would
said,
just
you
tell
wear
you. They
this or
said,
this
okay,
one.
you're wearing green this episode, just in case you do win. That looks better with the green and the purple than a blue with the purple, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were the roller coaster team, I like to think, because 3 bottoms and 3 tops is quite the differential throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the fact that we won one blows my mind. I think it's awesome.
I mean,
great.
with the amount of talented builders on this show, it was awesome for us to win a challenge. I hadn't dreamed of that after that first episode. It was like, oh my God, we're just in survival mode. And then for us to come up with something that won, it was really just a highlight of the year for me, man. It was so great.
Absolutely.
All right, a second.
That's
But
a
no,
great
it's great.
sound.
And, if you bring it to a convention sometime, you can let Dave and Emily try it on and see if the producers were right. Maybe they're wrong.
Actually, didn't you say you're going to Brick Can?
Yeah.
So bring
Yep,
it to
we
Brick
will
Can.
be we will be at Brick Can.
Ooh.
Definitely will. Oh yeah, 100% will.
Oh, that's
that'll be
great.
so funny. We need
Yeah.
to.
Bring the jacket.
Set
Walk
up the
around the
booth. Let
convention
people
with
try
the
the jacket
jacket
on.
Yes. What a great idea. Oh, we
Oh.
got to do a little mock of a mini build or a little mini
Yeah.
golf course.
Or
Mhm.
you know what
just-
we could do, Austin, is we could build a hole. We could build an actual putting hole and bring it. That would be really
Oh, that's a great idea.
Ugh,
fun.
Game on,
that'd be
dude.
amazing.
Yeah, right.
Game on. Yes. I could be. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Well, I'm planning to be there, so I can't wait. I can't wait
Yeah,
to see
now
you
I have
guys
to go to
walk
Brick
around
Can.
with this
Yes.
jacket.
Yeah.
That thing's so ridiculous. I don't know if Justin said this at the beginning, but it was kind of funny when we were casting, going through everything. They're like, so what outfits do you like to wear? How do you see yourselves? Or like, can we just wear scrubs? Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'm like, sweet, that's the easiest thing. And I maintain the fact that we had the easiest costumes and the most comfortable costumes of the entire cast. Because everyone else, I mean, like Emily and Dave in that picture, like wearing jerseys or dresses or whatever, shoes, and we got to wear like comfy shoes and pajamas, more or less. Yeah. So I really can't complain that we had it rough going to that show for costume wise.
Yeah, you were definitely comfortable because we also talked to the grandpappies about how I think Patrick had bought some shiny shoes, like with rhinestones or something on them, and he was in so much pain that they did let him switch out those shoes. And then Carrie said, I'm Asian. I don't wear bow ties. He had the bow tie on and the pink shirt, and he had a mohawk. And he just said,
yeah.
Just not me.
You know who tied Patrick's bow tie every morning, right?
Oh boy.
This guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No one knew how to tie a bow tie.
Austin was the only one there that knew how to tie a bow tie, so he had to do it every day for Patrick.
Well, that's what
funny.
Carrie was saying. I don't wear, bow ties, but that's what they wanted on the show. And he said there was so much gel in his hair, and maybe this applies to you too, Austin. He would say at the end of the day, he had to shower and all that gel out just so he could sleep well. And then the next morning, they put all the gel back in and back to the mohawk again. Yeah. So we were joking that you two were kind of like twins on the show.
Yeah, we look so similar,
Hair twins, yeah.
Yeah, hair twins.
The key to a good mohawk, not the gel, wax. It holds it much better, much easier. And I wouldn't let them touch my hair because I knew how to do it, and I knew they were going to mess it up. So I did my own hair.
Oh, interesting. Okay, see, that's another fun fact. That's cool.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to the jacket making the rounds this convention season.
With the mohawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll probably be back by the spring. I just grow it out, and I grow the beard during the winter because it's cold. But springtime, I'll shave it all off.
Yeah.
I won't grow my hair back. Nope, no chance. It was too much to deal with.
I'm sure Eddie and Aziza appreciate that too.
Yeah. But okay, finally, we have to talk about the Wizards duel. And this was also a really fun build in just a whole room of fun builds. Yeah, it was just kind of unfortunate that like somebody else did an ombre build and somebody else had a red and blue build in the same challenge.
And ours
so
is the one that gets called out. Yeah.
You guys were really up against it. So
I thought our original idea was really cool. I thought it was, well, I mean, obviously we came up with it first, so I thought it was great. Having the blue wizard trapped by an evil wizard. They didn't like that. The judges didn't like that idea as much, thinking that we need to have the blue wizard castle involved. So I thought our transition from that was really well played. I thought we played up the story great. I'm really happy with how that build came out.
Yeah,
I like all the wizard, like I don't even know what you call them, like all the spells being cast between the two and the duel that's occurring. I think it tells a great story, but I wasn't the final judge, so it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah, so I mean, our original idea, so we started with the red walls because the plan was to have blue brick in all of it. And so the idea was that, you know, our hero, the blue wizard, was captured and he uses all of his magic to destroy the evil castle. And so when it was going to get, you know, exploded, it was just going to be an explosion of a contrasting blue, like his magic. And I really did think they were gonna like that idea, and they did not like that idea at all. They were like, nope, no chance. This is not your wizard's castle. This is somebody else's. Figure it out. And so, I mean, him and I were pretty devastated, I think, at that point when that happened. Basically because it was sort of like a half an hour of, well, how are we going to do this? We don't have enough time, because we really did not have enough time. You know, I think as far as stuff that I would have done maybe a little differently is, I think we made it too big. If we had not made that red castle so wide, it would have been helpful, because we would have focused a little more on some height too. By the time we had the base done, we didn't have enough time to go for height. So it is what it is. I think it's a really cool build. Highlighting some of the stuff. If you look, we have our skeleton army that is basically storming the castle walls, and they're climbing up stuff. You have the evil wizard, who is basically flying with his magic in the black cape right there, and he is sending all of his evil magic towards our hero, who's up in the tower. And our hero is using every bit of magic he can. You know, I personally, I think that lots of different types of magic is completely appropriate from a wizard, because, you know, how many wizards only know one spell, right?
And like you can tell that like the blue wizard is kind of capturing a skeleton here and like shooting something over here, you know, putting up walls to defend himself. So like I think it makes sense, and like using only one piece to indicate the magic would get kind of repetitive. So I think that was a cool
That's what we thought.
Well, I just want to bring up the fact that if Harry Potter had fought all the evil in the first episode, we knew like one casting spell, wouldn't have been a better series.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Harry Potter nerd, and he really just uses Expelliarmus, so
yeah,
maybe
that's all you need. That's all you need. You know,
That's
what
all
else
you
do you need?
Damn it, Justin!
It's that and
But-
the curse that makes you barf up slugs. That's all you need, really.
Yeah, right. But you know, clearly there is one highlight to this build, and it is the hat. Austin just crushed that thing. It is so great. That wizard hat is just perfect. It made this castle really cool. And I can't even fathom if I had asked you to do that week one, just be like, hey man, can you sculpt this wizard hat? Compared to like the end where it's like, what about a wizard?
Crazy.
Yeah, we had an hour left, and he was like, what are we going to put on the top? And I was like, what about a wizard hat? And he was like, yeah, I can sculpt that. And that was the conversation. That was it. And he just started, and he built this beautiful hat. And then when the thing explodes and the hat is just flying off and just
floating in the air.
floating, it was so cool. That was amazing. I mean, if we're going to go home on a build, and we had to go home on a build. I'm still very proud of this build. It was a good build.
Yeah, and you should be. You know, it's like everybody is super talented in the room at this point, so it's kind of a dart throw as to who goes through them. But yeah, Carrie says still a good build. Wizard Hat was well done.
Yes, Carrie's here. We were just talking about you, Carrie, about your twins with your hair twin with Austin.
Hi, Carrie. Yeah.
I like to think that was my kind of magnum opus of like, all right, if I did go out, at least I felt comfortable because I knew how to do this. Seriously, week 1, no clue how to do any of that. So the fact that came out at the end, I was just, all right, I'll tip my hat to it.
Yeah, and you said you could do it in 30 minutes. It's like, wow.
And I actually did. That was the funny thing.
That's cool.
It was like super quick. I was like, all right, I got this. Once again, metal music starts playing and I can get anything done. There was many times where I was like, I need my time. Just let me focus. I'll sit here and build this. And then we did it.
Yeah. I do kind of wish that. So one thing that I tried to do, and it didn't read very well with how the lighting was, is there's actually a stained glass window underneath the top of the tower, and it's sort of big, and it's got a moon and it's got a star in it like Wizards. You can't see it. You don't see it on the episode at all. There's no light going through it.
There's something.
You can barely see the shape of that moon right there.
Oh.
And I spent some time on that, and I feel like without spending time on that would have given me maybe another 45 minutes to an hour of my free hands, and like maybe we could have gotten some more height. I don't know. We had heard so often in our critiques and in our feedback from the judges about story this and story that, and this is so important. And so we just kind of said, you know what, like, we're looking over at Dave and Emily just throwing up a skyscraper in like no time at all. And we see what Nick and Stacy are doing. It's like, we're not going to win that. I think the way we win is on story. And it was a gambit, and it didn't pay off, and that's okay. You know, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I agree completely with Justin. I mean, it was so many things you had to consider, like strength, height, and story. We had a good idea what was coming as far as the destructions. We're like, we're not going to outstrength this thing. Hats off to Yo-Yo Crash for denting that thing, because I had no idea how we could do it. So we're like, all right, we're not going to win strength, height. And then we looked over at the 2 tables. We're like, no, I'm not going to win that one. All right, story's our go. And it just didn't work out, but super proud of how it came out. There's also a lot of details that Justin put in the top. When I was fixing that hat on top, inside that are all kinds of potion bottles and bookshelves and like all kinds of like magic things in the top that, they're not necessarily going to add a whole lot to what you see on TV, but there was a lot of cool little things in there that I was happy he added that I thought the story would benefit from.
Yeah, he's got all his potions and he's got his stuff up there, so
There's a treasure chest of green unmentionable things, wizard things probably.
Exactly.
But no, that's cool. It's we love hearing about these little details that you guys had.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a really fun build. I will say this one other thing, in that at this point, God, I did the math at one point, but Austin, how many hours had we been building at this point before this episode started? Like 90?
Yeah, more than that.
Maybe, yeah, somewhere in there. And so, at this point in the show, I'll just say my brain was like mashed potatoes. I felt like I had no ideas left. Idea fatigue is totally a real thing. And so, it's easy to kind of go back and say, oh, I should have done this, or I could have done this. But thinking about like our mental state at that point, him and I I thought we put together a really good build, and I think we were okay with what happened,
Our whole goal for the first was don't be the first one eliminated. And that just barely got away with that one. But,
do you think that because you're doctors and you're used to, having long shifts, was that an advantage, do you think, for being on the show?
Oh,
because of
absolutely.
all the long
Absolutely.
hours? I know that even at the end, though, you were starting to feel the fatigue, and Greg mentioned it on Brick and Nick's show as well, that towards the end it gets really hard. And I'm just curious about your background, if you think that was helpful.
I think so immensely. I've been here for what 12 and a half hours now already today, and I worked yesterday and the day before, and yeah, I mean, when you go through your training, there are some long days, and at the end you still have to be kind of on your game to as best you can. So I think that plays well for us for sure. We're used to standing on our feet all day, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but even then, the stress of the show kind of made its own unique little situations. Like the way it's structured, sometimes there are just
I,
breaks that were kind of had to be built in. So you'd go and like try to sleep at night. And you're like, did I do this right? Am I gonna go home? Is this going on? I can't fix
Mhm.
this, and not sleeping the best, and then the stress of the show, waking up early, hair and makeup, the whole thing combined, it can wear you down, definitely.
oh,
Um,
I think I think at some point everybody on that show is worn down.
Mhm.
It was just inevitable.
Yeah,
And
it's tough.
it's I think the other thing that's also really hard is that, if when Austin and I were training, it was like, I know what my week's going to be like. It's going to be 5 16-hour days. That's going to
Mhm.
be really not good, but I'll get through it, and I can sort of mentally prepare for that. Whereas this one, you don't know what the next challenge is. You don't know if you're starting that challenge tomorrow at 7 a.m. or if, we're going to film some promo stuff or whatever it might be. I mean, the unpredictability of what is coming next is always sort of looming over you a little bit. And so that was also really stressful. That was tough, but
Yeah.
100%, the medical training, the long hours, all that kind of stuff, definitely helped us. 100% helped us.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, this is the end of the review portion of the show, and now we're gonna maybe talk about this episode that just aired.
But we do
Um,
know that your time is valuable, so
right.
it's optional for you if you want to hang out and talk about the NASCAR
Yeah.
show.
I
Um,
got 6 minutes.
okay.
Okay, okay.
Maybe we can blaze through it. This was kind of a
Well,
short.
I'm
No,
not
no,
sure if
no.
we'd
Save
get
it,
in
Justin.
6 minutes,
All
but
right,
maybe
save it.
do
Look,
you have any closing comments? Maybe we should get some
Mhm.
closing comments from you if you have 6 minutes left.
oh,
What do you think? Your
this was
experience?
all right. I love going on adventures and trying new things. I think the world and the people in it offer unique situations all the time. I think people should experience other cultures, try new foods, listen to different types of music, listen to other people's opinions. Um, I think it's really important for us as a society and as people to bond. And this was a wildly unique situation to be a part of. So when Justin asked me to do it, I was very hesitant at first, thinking I would not do very well, but it has been a major game changer for me. Um, one big thing, and I say this all the time, is that COVID got me down pretty hardcore. So being around a bunch of people that had similar interests and were just amazing from all different walks of life uh,
Hmm.
really helped restore a lot of faith in humanity. And I made some lifelong friends there. I'll be friends with them forever. And I know they got my back because we shared this unique opportunity. Then you throw in the fact that, oh yeah, Lego is really cool. That's fun. I should do this. And it's something I could bond with my boys about, go to these conventions, bond with other people about. It was a really big change. So I'm very excited I did it. Win or lose, doesn't matter.
Hmm. And before you go, since you and I had a chance to chat one-on-one when we were at BrickCon, I did get my booster, just so you know.
Mhm.
I
Yay!
Oh
did
yeah.
get it, and it was Novavax after it was approved on October 19th. So, like 4 days later, I signed up and I got it. But you
Oh yeah.
knew I was waiting for that. So, I just wanted to give you that report as a heads up.
That is very good to hear. I hope it does you well, and I hope it does the community well, to where not as many
Yeah,
people get sick. We have to
great.
deal with quite a few people that are pretty ill from it this winter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And thank you for everything that you do, too, both of you, for all the work that you do as doctors for the community. And
Mhm.
And Justin, you're welcome to stay if you want, or if
Justin,
you want to do
or
like a
final
closing
thoughts, or-
statement.
I just got a couple minutes, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
probably do something similar. This was a really fun thing to do. I know it was stressful at times, and sometimes people will talk about how hard certain aspects of the show were, but as far as the people that you're on the show with, like, this isn't like any other competition I've ever been a part of, or anything that I would have thought or expected. I love these people. You spend a lot of time with them, and
Yeah.
Austin and I, he said he nailed it on the head. We made some lifelong friends on this show, and some of us talk still every day. Austin and I talk to Steven and Steven every single day, and that's just a very rare thing. I think as I've gotten a little older in life, you start to realize how hard it is to truly make friends with somebody that you want to be around and hang out with. Maybe that's just getting older. I don't know, but
That's just you.
but finding that with this Lego community was just it's just been an invaluable and one of the coolest things that I feel like we could have ever been a part of. I have to say this, Will was great with us. He's a super nice guy, and he knows that we're all under a lot of pressure, and he does anything he can to ease that pressure. Yeah, I will also say one other thing. He did sign my Lego Movie baseball card.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
that's awesome.
So that was one thing that I was just like, oh man, I hope this works out, and it did. He was super great. Amy and Jamie, they're fantastic. They have a really hard job on the show, and so I just have to thank them, and all the producers and stuff for getting us to be on this production and on this show. I would also just say that if anybody is interested in doing it, you 100% should. It was worth it. Do whatever you can to do it. So.
And those
Well
are
said.
wise words, because Remy has put in his application.
Yeah, it's in there.
Really?
Right on,
waiting,
man.
Waiting by the phone. Waiting by the phone now.
That's right.
It's
We
up
got
to
to do
you.
this as a closing comment.
Oh,
too,
I was
right?
doing fingers
Yeah.
crossed, like good
Oh,
luck.
fingers crossed. I thought you were doing rock on, man.
Oh, rock on, man, for sure. But
No, just luck, please. Not,
yeah, right.
No,
And
it's
we
all
do
good.
have to thank to the firefighters, because they couldn't make it today, and then they reached out to you, and I reached out to you, and you guys made it happen, and we really appreciate that. It really means a lot.
Oh, it's
And-
our pleasure
And
to
I
join.
hope to see you guys at Brickcan. And it'll be fun to hang out again, and really appreciate everything that you do for the Lego community.
Oh, we'll
Absolutely.
We'll
As
we'll
long
be
as I
there.
can be a good ambassador for it, that works for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
Well, great. So
All right.
happy holidays, and enjoy. Well, next year. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see you in a couple months.
We definitely will. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And you said you're traveling somewhere tomorrow, so safe travels.
Yeah, I'm going to Portland for a Portland Lego user group. That's the group I belong to, and then I'm flying to visit my family in the Phoenix area. So
Oh,
I'm gonna,
awesome.
I'm going to spend an early Christmas. I don't like crowds. I have a hard time with real big crowds. So I tend to go during the off weeks. I don't go at Thanksgiving. I don't go at Christmas. I spend a quality week with them in between.
Well,
Yeah.
safe
Safe
travels.
I'll be doing.
and regardless, we'll keep washing our hands. Don't worry.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
I
Thank
wear
you for
my
the
mask
plug.
on the plane, too.
Yeah.
I still do
Oh,
that.
I definitely would. There's a lot of flu. There's a lot of RSV. There's COVID. There's lots of viruses going everywhere. So wash your hands. Do what you can.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a
Great
real
advice.
party in the air right now. So
Yeah.
try to avoid that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah,
Of
thanks
course.
again.
Have
Really
a wonderful
appreciate
night.
You guys take
Okay.
care.
it. Take care. Thanks
Rock
a lot.
on.
Okay, yeah, rock on. Yay. Bye.
This is always the
Okay.
awkward part where you try to like exit the stream gracefully and you
Well, I
can't.
assisted him with that. So,
yeah, it's like
and for
Push the
anybody else,
button
we
harder.
still have to review.
yeah,
we
we got
went 2 hours just going
Yeah.
through that. I know.
it doesn't
it's
feel like
crazy.
2 hours, when you're just
It
hanging
went,
out talking
it went
about the
fast,
field.
but it also was long. So for anybody who's still hanging with us, we really
Yeah.
appreciate that. But we are going to go through now the NASCAR
Mhm.
review.
Yeah, this was a very like weird episode for a lot of reasons. Like not in a bad way, but like
Right.
I can't believe that they did this challenge like logistically
Mm-hmm.
and pulled it off, and like we're gonna race Lego cars like
I thought
actual
it was
human-sized
brilliant.
Lego cards. Yeah.
It was brilliant. And then having the NASCAR brand as well and getting that demographic too. Yeah.
Just real quick, thank you, Emily and Carrie. I really appreciate that. But yeah.
Yes, good luck. Good luck,
Yeah,
Remy. Definitely.
Someday, hopefully. But I just I don't want to comment on Amy's outfit every week, but I love her outfit this week because she's got the patches.
Yes, she's got the dots patches that she helped design and get to market.
And she has like a checkered flag on her arm, I think.
Right, and it's not just a checkered flag; it's a waving checkered flag. It's got that motion to it, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was hard to get a shot of that, but it was very cool seeing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's our racetrack, and you can see how the build area is completely different. I guess they had to wait until the Final Four to do this because I don't know how they would have done this with more teams.
No, there's no way they could have done it any other way.
Yeah,
it was really just. I mean, look at those cars. I mean, just one of those cars alone, to have to custom build that to put the plates on it so that you could build on it. It's yeah, you
can kind of see the studs here, and there was some on the sides and on the rear, obviously, but this was a lot of area to cover as well. And unfortunately, there was a little mishap.
Which was they didn't even start building yet, and
no.
I think didn't they lose a few plates too, and they had to put them back on.
Yeah, they may have lost a few plates on the side here, but it was all good. And you can definitely tell earlier in the episode that the cars were going a certain speed, and then this happened, and then during the race they were going slightly slower than that speed.
Right.
So I'm sure there was a panicked executive or group of people that are on the making frantic phone calls. No, we can't have anyone get injured.
Right.
But yeah, so let's go right into it because there wasn't a whole lot of other things that happened. But the Electric Blue team, which was Brendan, Greg, and Nick and Stacy.
Nick and Stacy, yep.
And this was like a 90s themed car, and got some more shots of it here. I think this is the first time also we've seen somebody on each other's shoulders, so that's fun.
I have a feeling they've done that before.
Maybe they're secret acrobats escaping from the circus.
Well,
you don't know.
If you think about the remaining teams, I mean, they're really strong people. I mean, who, firefighters, they have long hours, Ironmen, right? And just being in Canada, the Canadians in general, they're very strong people.
Are they stronger? Okay.
They know what tough winters are like. So
that's true.
It doesn't surprise me the Canadians ended up in the end.
But yeah, I think Jessica from season 1 also has talked about hey, if you go on the show, get in shape. You're going to need it to make it to the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. She worked out quite a bit. And that Greg has done Ironman competitions, and we just heard from the doctors that spending 12 to 16-hour days is common for them. So them being on their feet for that long wasn't a big issue.
But yeah, here's this 90s car. Also, as a kid that grew up in the 80s, them saying, "Oh, we all grew up in the 90s," made me feel very old. I don't know about you, but it's oh man. But it's all good. But yeah, this is a fun.
They leaned
concept.
into something they had in common, right? And you're getting ready for this show, Remy. So don't start talking about you being so old.
They have older people on the show. It's not.
I know, but you got to come across as saying, I'm so dynamic and I've done this before, and I'm.
Oh, all right, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
There we go. I am a young person.
Channel tacos. Yeah, that's what tacos did.
No, I did that. I've never done that before, and you know what? That's going to be it.
Not everybody saw that. Okay,
No.
you need to do that again.
No, that's it's not happening again.
Oh, come on.
Let's go back to the field.
You want to be on television,
Yeah.
don't you?
Y'all missed it. Yeah, not like
You
that.
gotta get ready for this.
It's turning the cap
Okay, for
backwards is
anybody
too
who
high a
missed it,
price.
you have to rewind. Look at the
Yeah.
little tiny box because he turned his
Yeah.
cap backwards.
That was a nightmare. But okay, but yeah, I like the dials on this car. I think
Yeah.
like they really paid attention to the interior,
Mm-hmm.
and the shell is also really good.
I love that
Um,
steering wheel.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
and they built the engine block on top, which was neat.
Yeah.
And I think I have a picture of like the internal structure as well. Let me find it real quick.
Yeah, the
Oh,
ones
maybe I
with
don't.
the Technic frames.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought I added one in here, but I guess I didn't. Sorry, folks.
That's okay. You just watch the episode, and it's a bunch of Technic frames to make that that kind of curve around the top.
Yeah.
Which I think is reminiscent of what Greg and Brendan did for the pirate ship, because they used plates to get around the side of the pirate ship. I seem to remember them talking about that.
Mm-hmm. This is vaguely similar. And but yeah, here in the back they have a whole bunch of nods to their other builds, like
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Hashtag actual. There's an spoiler, yes. But yeah, here's the brick treehouse.
Yeah, the callbacks that they had. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this says whale. We should ask them what this says. I'm not sure. If we get to talk to Nick and Stacy, we can.
Well, we're going to talk to them. Oh, actually, no, we're talking to the firefighters on Monday.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm not sure what this word says, but I'm sure that's another
whaler.
Wait.
Or
I
wheeler.
don't want to speculate.
Wheeler. Maybe it's wheeler.
Wheeler?
As
Maybe.
in, it's a go-kart. It's a wheeler.
Possibly. We'll put it on the list of things to ask them if we get a chance. But yeah, here's this cassette tape is great. It's perfect as a cassette tape. And yeah, here it is on the track, and that's Jeff Gordon. And like I don't watch NASCAR. I don't know if you're a big NASCAR fan, but I had no idea what Jeff Gordon looked like.
I have been to a NASCAR race actually. Oh. I used to live in Charlotte. And I've been to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've actually driven in a van on the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Oh, cool. I wasn't driving the car, but they take the van out onto the track. So you get to see that the track is also angled. Mm-hmm. So this is a little different because a true track would be angled, going around the ramp. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I've been a spectator and I've been on the track.
Yeah. Did you watch the race from like the interior of the race course?
No, but they actually have like a VIP section where people have their, RVs and they will actually drive into the center and they have special parking for these RVs. So they're literally in the center of the action. And I remember one that I went to, there was a guy dressed in a cow outfit sitting on top of his RV watching the race. And it's just like so random, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, there's a guy, because I was new to the sport and I went to a couple games with some friends at work. I shouldn't say games, races.
Matches, races, I guess.
Races,
yeah. I don't know what the term is.
And they do have earplugs that you should wear, and your entire body is vibrating because of the sound that goes around with all of these engines. I mean, wow. It is a visceral experience. Mm-hmm. So I would say, don't knock it. Go to one. You're in Virginia. Yeah. You're in Virginia. Yeah. They've got the Virginia Motor Speedway over there.
They have all kinds of tracks. Yeah. It's just never occurred to me to do that.
You should go.
But yeah, like nothing against it.
A bunch of friends at work. Yeah. GLS is in the house. GLS. How's it going, Con? Good to see you.
You can get the manual wave instead of the emoji. But yeah, this was a fun racer. I love the lightning bolts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, let's talk about the Red Rocket, which was the Stevens and Dave and Emily.
Yes.
And
NASCAR is
there,
fun. Yes, it is.
NASCAR is fun. Oh, who knew? I did not.
You should go to at least one race. I wouldn't go on a regular basis, but I totally get why people like it.
As opposed to like something like football, like I would much prefer to like watch a football game at home. But like it sounds like going to a NASCAR race is like a physically like adrenaline pumping experience. So
It can be, yeah. It could also be dangerous too when people get in accidents.
well, okay. No, well now I don't want to go again. So I'm twisting in the wind here. I don't know what to do.
You should go to one because there won't be an accident. It's very rare. It doesn't happen often.
All right.
So
All right.
yeah.
All right. I'm back in.
Oh, you're back in. Okay.
But okay, like the Red Rocket had a lot of corporate sponsorship stickers, which is the correct way to pronounce the word decal.
Which I later learned that if you're in Montreal is actually decal.
Decal.
So, yeah.
No,
because it's from a French word. Anyway, it's like decolormine, I think. I'm gonna have to look it up.
I guess it's like zebra, zebra is the
yeah. But I thought it was great that we learned the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. So
decalcomania. Decalcomania is actually what the French word is.
Okay.
So that's why the Montreal people in the French would pronounce it decal. Decalcomania. Decalcomania.
It's also anyway, like
little bit of trivia there.
Yeah. There's like a D and an apostrophe involved, and instead of like a DE and
an accent.
Yeah. But yeah, this was fun. These tables were strong enough to you could put a contestant on these. You could put a contestant on these tables, and it wouldn't violate somebody's insurance. So that was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stickers is proper for Lego.
Yep, and stickers. Yes.
Oh, you can kind of see in this shot Amy's shoulder with the flag on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, here's Yo-Yo in the front. The fossil fuel is nod to their dinosaur build. The 67 for Canada. And I thought look at that, like they trademarked it, so that's fun. So nobody else can steal the logo. But where
I just
is it?
loved all of the callbacks on this and the colors, and they made it complete. That was the other thing. The other team didn't completely go around the edge.
Yeah. That may have had something to do with their mishap earlier, but we're not sure. But yeah, here's the bullfrog from the rodeo, and the carrot and the lettuce,
mm-hmm.
And
oil.
Oil, just generic oil. Good sponsor. If you have Big Oil sponsoring your car, that's you're raking in the money. But I couldn't figure out what this says here. This is like something motorsport, probably.
If Emily's still in the chat,
yeah. What does the spoiler say?
Is it lettuce, or which way are we? Team? Is that team?
It looks like it could be team, but it looks like there are more letters than that, but I'm not sure what that is.
Well, maybe the last word is sport.
Yeah, it's something motorsport, probably. So, yeah. Hopefully the mystery will be answered someday. But yeah, Jeff Gordon,
we have asked Emily and Dave and also Nick and Stacy to be on the show. So, we still have a few more weeks. Maybe they'll be on the show.
Yeah. But yeah, Jeff Gordon, got in the car and had fun, presumably.
Well,
So that's kind of
it's interesting in the previews or the promo videos, they show him destroying the car, but they didn't
I
really
don't know
show
if I
that
saw that one.
in.
Did he crash into something or?
No, he's just I guess the force of the speed going around. Some of the chassis comes off.
Oh yeah. I think when Emily was going around a turn, like part of the side fell off later
Right.
in the
No,
race.
but Jeff Gordon was actually in the car.
He was in it. Oh,
Yeah. So I think that might have been maybe after the episode was over. Maybe he was driving it around and
just having fun.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully he didn't destroy it pre-race. That would not be cool. But yeah, here they are in their racing suits.
That is so cool. I wonder
Yeah.
if they got a chance to keep those racing suits because they're all custom made, right?
I don't know how custom they are.
Oh, come on. Look at all of them. They fit
well,
perfectly.
I mean, it's a jumpsuit, so I don't know how many sizes of like aren't jumpsuits kind of one size fits all mostly?
No,
Or,
look.
no?
Do you think Crash would fit into Emily's jumpsuit?
Well, no, that obviously. Well, look, if you're going to talk about the extremes, then no. But
Yeah. Well, we'll have to find out if
they don't have,
after the
I
last
w- I w-
episode they were measured and then they sent them their jumpsuits to wear.
See, if they had their they don't have their names on the jumpsuits. That makes me believe that they were not custom made, but they could be.
I
That
think
would be really awesome.
because they fit so well. I mean, for each one of them, they just fit really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we see him at a convention sometime in the jumpsuit, we'll know for sure.
We'll know.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Well, if it goes back to the doctors, they didn't get their award of the jacket until after that episode. So maybe they might be getting them after this episode aired. Maybe the jumpsuit will be arriving.
Mm-hmm.
We should take some bets on that. Do you think that they're going to send them the jumpsuits or do they go back in the wardrobe?
If they did, that using them for next season, that would be kind of cool too. I mean, they invested a lot into this like racing surface and the go-karts. Like I can definitely see them reusing it at some point. Excuse me. But yeah, this was the start of the race. And the Red Rocket won Best Aesthetics, essentially. Mm-hmm. So they got pole position.
Yeah.
So Emily got to start first. And it was 10 laps total, but after 5, you had to stop in the pit. And here's
I love this camera angle.
Yeah, they had the driver cam for Emily, but not for Brendan, unfortunately. But yeah, this was a fun angle. And they had to stop after lap 5, and the teams would replace essentially all this black with their team color.
Mm-hmm.
And the blue team finished the tire change first. You can see here they're, taking a.
Yeah, Brendan weighed more than Emily and is also taller. Yeah. So he was slower going around the track, but the pit crew really made a difference.
Mm-hmm. And they both took water breaks and got toweled off during the pit break, which was kind of fun. But yeah, eventually the blue team did fix their wheels first, so they were able to get out slightly ahead and eventually won the race. Congrats, blue team.
And new spoiler alert coming.
Yeah. They said before the race that the winning team would be safe.
Right.
But no one goes home this week. Because honestly, how would you logistically send someone home? Would you go through and say, hey,
I was suspicious about that, about whether or not they would really send a team home, because how can you divide it, right? Mm-hmm. Because they both worked on the build together.
Yeah, well, you can say I don't like that. I don't like that carrot sticker on the build. So who did that? You okay? You're out of here. How would you?
Made sense. This made sense that nobody would be eliminated for this episode.
So,
you know what this means?
Yeah.
Next week, they're actually going to do 2 back-to-back episodes. So at 8 o'clock, they're going to have the elimination episode. And then right after that, at 9 o'clock, will be the regular show, which will be the finale.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do a costume change. We have one for the elimination episode, and then we have the finale.
So it's like feast or famine. But now that Masked Singer has concluded, we get the time slot. So hopefully that will bring in more people to watch Lego Masters. And hopefully they won't be upset when they tune in thinking it's going to be Masked Singer and instead it's Lego Masters.
Well, maybe more people will watch.
Yeah.
I started watching The Masked Singer just because what else is there to watch if Lego Masters isn't on, right?
Yeah. But yeah, this was a wild episode. It almost like doesn't make sense. Like it was a huge swing, and it was great that they actually did this and pulled it off.
I loved it. I thought it was great too that similar to season 1 where they paired the teams up for that one challenge, that they paired teams up for this challenge. It was really great to see that. And it seemed like the teams were still having fun together, and it was a new dynamic, right? Learning how another team works and being able to work through that. But
Definitely.
lots of fun.
So,
but we've been going on for over 2 hours.
I'm sure y'all are sick of us by now.
22 minutes. And I do have to take my dog to the pet sitter. So I can't be on all night. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, GLS.
Yes.
Thank you, Emily and Carrie, Beth. One thing I should have said before the doctors left is that if you want to follow Justin, go to Justin is at BlockDocJustin on Instagram. And then Austin is austin.block.doc on Instagram as well. And of course, follow Brick. I can't talk anymore. Follow Brick Literacy. And good luck to you, Remy, too. He's put in his application for the next season. So maybe I'll be doing this interview with you as a contestant.
That's the dream.
Could happen. Could happen. And thank you, everybody. You're listening to the Brick and Ethan Broadcast Network. Please, I can't talk. Please like and subscribe to the stream. Push that button, push that like button, and make a comment, too. I'm starting to use the community tab more for updates. So please remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to send any holiday greetings, you can send them to the P.O. Box 31956, Seattle, Washington, 98103. So thank you, everybody. It's been great hanging out with you. And thank you, Remy. We're going to have one more week, it sounds like, of reviews. And then we'll be on hiatus for a little bit.
We're going to be on literally all next week. And then
yes, Monday is our next show because we'll have the firefighters on. And then we are going to have our Friday show. We'll have to see how we do that with the Friday show. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we have not talked about it yet. Like we just found out. So
well, plus I'm in Arizona until Thursday, so I'm even doing the Monday episode remote. So it'll be interesting. But anyway, thanks again for hanging out with us. It was great to see you. Good luck, Remy. Good luck to everybody who's going to be applying. And as they say on the Brick and Ethan Broadcast Network, may the clutch be with you. Take care. Bye.